Sure, Priyank. Thank you very much for the introduction to ANI. And first thing I would say is that I'm very, very proud and glad to be associated with ANI as a volunteer, as a speaker, as a facilitator, as a panelist, and as moderator. Different roles I played, and I have had fun with this entire community. A lot of learnings and a lot of things to give and take, in this community. So thanks, Priyank, for that introduction. I hope that it was actually useful for every participant who is currently here in this webinar. Yeah. So folks, as we all know that today we are gathering here for this panel discussion with some experts from the industry. And the topic of our discussion today is how to stay valuable in your job. Yeah. And it's a topic I'm sure that many of you will be able to correlate to a great extent. And as a matter of fact, there was a report about a year back from World Economic Forum that stated that up to 54% of the world's workforce has to be reskilled to a certain extent by the year 2023. Yeah. And at the same time, as we all know that there are these, we are living in these unprecedented times, right, where change is inevitable. We see change everywhere. And I think the speed of change actually has increased, like COVID-19 has actually pushed it further. But I would say even before that itself, also the need for change was actually there, and everyone had to recognize that, right? So it makes even more sense for us to think about that. Okay, hey, what are we doing in our jobs? What is happening with the skill sets? How do we stay relevant, right, and valuable in our jobs? Yeah. So we're going to be discussing on this topic. As I said, we have the four panelists with us. But before we get into the details of it, it would make good sense to actually know who the panelists are and who the moderator is, right? So we'll just start from there. I have started to share my screen now. I hope you all can see my screen. Yeah. And
Yep.
I'll just put this in the presentation mode so that the people who are on mobiles or any smaller screens, they can see it better. Yeah. All right. So let's actually do a quick round of introductions with everyone here. So I'll start with myself. My name is Vikrant Kardam. I am a principal consultant and agile transformation coach advisory for ThoughtWorks India. And I help organizations do assessments, create transformation roadmaps, strategize their programs, and also I coach their teams, programs, and portfolios during the transformation journey. And I help them how to strategize their programs during these dynamic market conditions. Yeah. I have more than 20 years of experience. I have handled different roles in my life, starting from a very, very technical person for the first initial decade, and the last decade has been mostly into agile and related experiences and transformation programs that I've executed in the US and India across multiple distributed teams and global teams. I have a lot of interest into technical stuff. So from my heart, I have been always a technical person and a developer, and I still call myself that way because it keeps me more close to the actual work, where the work is happening, right, and what do the people need to grow. Yeah. I am also an audiophile. I like to listen to music on some very high-end quality kind of speakers and equipments. If some of you are aware what the audiophiles are. And also I'm a piano player, so I play piano whenever I find time. I practice at my home. I sometimes do concerts also. So maybe at some point in time, if I get a chance, I love to play for some of you folks. But yeah, so that's quickly about me, very, very short, and we'll actually keep moving. So I'll be the moderator for today's panel discussion. So that's what my role is going to be. And the next four people we're going to talk about now are our panelists. All right. So Monica, would you like to say some words about yourself? Monica, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well. Sorry. So thank you so much, Vikrant, for the introduction. And I think I would definitely cover it up clearly, saying that yes, I've been part of this journey of Agile for almost now 3 years. Majorly before that, it was completely into HR domain, where I worked upon as a university hiring leader right now with NCR. My expertise majorly is into talent acquisition, HR branding, and change management. I'm really looking forward to bringing a lot of change into the current policies and procedures because we are dealing with all the millennials. So my current role is connecting with the university hires and bringing in new aspirational things altogether, which we can provide for longer duration. So I think that's what about me, and possibly we'll have for further more conversation.
Thank you, Monica. That's thank you for introduction. Very, very impressive. We're glad to have you here. All right, Naveen, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, sure. So, so firstly, thanks ANI for giving this opportunity. And so I have been working in this industry for 21 years now. And as you can see, the LinkedIn profile information mostly talks about the technical stuff. But in addition to whatever technology has been mentioned, so I am also part of now smart city, safe city verticals within the NEC group. So NEC Corporation of India is where I work at the moment as head of the competency group. So where one of the charter is actually to reskill and make people useful as technologies involved. So I am myself a hardcore techie. I love computer science from day one, and I still do. And yeah, primarily that is how it is. And I think along the journey, I do talk about my experience of how I could stick to this when everyone tends to move towards business. So why technology is still relevant. And for me personally, the motivation of why I just want to stick to functional role was that India, in addition to good business leaders, needs good technology leaders as well. And yeah, that's my part of the motivation why I want to excel in this area and continue to inspire people to do problem solving.
Great. Thank you, Naveen. That's very impressive. And thanks for your introduction. So let's move to the next panelist. That is Sanjeev. You want to talk about some?
Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks, Vikrant. And hi, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Sanjeev Jain. So my background is pretty much what you can see on the screen. So close to 30 years of experience and all in HR. That is possibly something that I know a little bit. And currently I was with IBM. So I worked with companies like IBM for 11 years with HCL Technologies, and I had a fortune to work with Naveen for some time. And then before that, I worked with Glaxo manufacturing chemicals. So I have very experience into variety of industries, actually. That's I was lucky enough, actually. Then Agile, I'm not a big expert, but yes, I'm a certified Agile practitioner in design thinking and Agile practitioner. This is where I learned at IBM, actually. In fact, Monica, I was also into talent acquisition in IBM in one of the global role, and this is where I practiced and learned Agile, which I'm very passionate about. And currently, I'm a co-founder with a consulting firm called Enabling World with a couple of friends, which is an end-to-end HR consulting firm. We are into HR technology transformation, into learning and development, and well-being space. So these are the areas that we work on. And I also love music, Vikrant. I mean, I can't call myself a pianist, but yes, I have a piano. So I'm an amateur pianist. So we'll have some time together. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, Sanjeev. Looking forward for that. Definitely. Appreciate that for sharing. Great. Thank you, Sanjeev. That's very impressive. And Tahseen, I would request you also to talk about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Tahseen Zahid, and basically I've spent my entire career and my past in more into startup ventures, is like starting organizations from scratch and bringing them to a self-sustainable business models. And during this entire process, obviously, I've been working with various kind of people with different mindsets, and it is a very important topic today. So it was a very interesting one for me, how to be relevant in your job, and interesting for me in the frame that I can only be relevant in my job if my team is relevant to the company. So that's a very different viewpoint of how you are going to be relevant in your job. And you can see on the screen what I have done in my life now. So basically, in 25 years, I started working very early during my college days. So it's a full-time work since then, and have been into more of a business ideas, more into startup with Tech Mahindra, or even at Loya Corp also. It was a startup idea that we have worked, and been into the finalist and have been funded by Economic Times Power of Idea business competition. So my first venture got funded from there as a PE funding, and that's all from my side. And I'd love to interact with all of you here. Thank you.
Great, Tehseen. Thank you very much. Glad to have you here, and knowing about your profile, very impressive. So yeah, so with those introductions, let's actually get into the main discussion now, right? I'll just stop sharing my screen. Give me a second. Just navigating my controls here. Okay, all right. Yeah, so it's better to see each other and have a conversation, right? One thing I just realized, folks, that as you may have noticed, that we actually have more than 100 years of experience in this panel right now. So I think it's a great panel to have, and a lot of discussion, a lot of good discussions to have over here, and listen from their experiences, what they have to share with us. Yeah. So, all right. So let's actually begin. All right. So to the panelists, like what I would actually want to start with asking is that maybe each one of you, one by one, maybe if you can just explain what are your thoughts, what is your understanding, and what does it mean for you when it comes to staying relevant in your job? If you can just give like a lesser 2 or 3 minutes of your understanding and your viewpoint on this topic. So maybe Monica, if we start with you, what is your perception or what is your thinking when you hear this, that, hey, what does it take to stay relevant in a job?
So thank you so much for a really good question, Vikrant. But before I take it forward, if you allow, can we have the same question from the audience? Let us hear from them what exactly they think it is more relevant for the job, what they're doing at this point of time, because that will help us take the conversation even further. So I really request all the audience to give even a one word what you think is more important and relevant for you at this point of time. I'm looking forward to hear from you, and then we can take the conversation further on that.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a great idea, Monica. So folks who are on the call right now, you can just quickly post what does it mean for you when you think, okay, we already see some updates coming in.
Yes, so obviously got a good point from Vivek, which talks about everybody has to have skills which are up to date at this point of time. Stay alive, certainly with the current COVID scenario, it is very important for us to make sure that we are taking care of our health and keeping it a priority. Intent, yeah, I think more or less, if you have a positive intent, if I added to that, is always great to take the conversation further. Remain current is definitely a need of an hour, because you really can't stay without having latest technologies and understanding about that. Work from home is the key. Wow, Ketan. Managing that work from home and making a balance between work and home is something which is a key. I'll add it to this one. Manage
That's
your long term
skill,
and
right?
a short term. Yeah, that's a big time skill. Work
Yes,
from
yes.
home. Yes, we're desperately looking forward to go back to office and going back to the back normal, because we all are missing our offices like anything. Good decision making. Thanks, Karan. Sundar said, understand company's vision, leave any organization in a better place. That's something which I would like to know a little more in detail at times, what exactly you wish to cover into this one. be relevant for the roadmap, career growth and organization. So considering the time frame, I think let me come back to my points. Precisely, you all have a great ideas and the comments which you have mentioned over here. So I think if I kind of correlate, give my pointers of what I think as being relevant for the job means to me, is certainly one is like you have to have a clear understanding what's happening in the industry. So you need to make sure that you're aware about the latest industry news, what's the new trend, which organizations are doing good, which is going, which we need to work upon. Understand your client needs better. If those of us who are managing our roles, so like take an example, we being into HR as well, we need to understand what our stakeholders are really looking forward to hire at this point of time. What are our millennials, the kind of students who are there in the universities, what are their aspirations? So are we really bridging that gap or not? So we need to understand what is our client's expectation from us. We need to make sure that we understand our competitors clearly. What is it making them successful, and what is it we need to work upon to make sure that we are addressing that particular content clearly. And staying social. Now, being into this virtual world, staying social is something way too important. We really can't live without connecting and building a strong networking skills. That is, again, one of the key things which I will say really helping me and everybody around to connect with our mentors, learn from them on a regular basis. And we also have to think about a big picture. You know, currently we are going through with the turmoil. We are trying to figure out how to manage this difficult phase. But we need to understand how are we really going to plan it in the future? What is in it for me? And why I'm actually doing what am I doing right now? So staying relevant to what you are doing is also one of the key for yourself. And last but not the least, have a focus on a great communication. You need to ensure that you're able to communicate what you're doing, how are you doing, and by when are you going to complete that task. So having a clear and a transparent communication always works. So these are my bit onto this particular one, Vikrant.
Right, right. No, those are some great points, Monica, and a very good way to sort of like describe what does it actually mean, like from our perspective. So I would like to also talk to other panelists also. So Tahseen, may I ask you also to just describe quickly that in your opinion, what does this mean to you? What does staying relevant in a job means to you?
So thanks for this opportunity, and it's a wonderful question which I was yearning to answer actually in the first go, but always as the time goes, ladies first. So now coming back to the discussion, so what I feel from a very practical approach I'm talking about, but when you start a small time startups, when you start a company, when you're starting an organization, it is actually at a very basic level. There is no corporate culture, there are no SOPs defined in a system. So for me, a employee can remain relevant in an organization till the time he is able to read the requirement of the boss and the organization. If he's able to read what is required from him on a daily basis, that is very relevant. So reading the mindset of your bosses or your higher ups or the organization's demand is the most relevant thing, which will keep you very required in a system. So you may come up with fancy words, you may come up with fancy presentations. That is very good. But at the end of the day, in a business, what is required? In a business, business is required. At the end of the day, you may keep on having degrees, you may keep on having certificates, you keep on learning. That is very good. Learning is a constant thing in your life. But at the same time, in a private sector, it is the end delivery which matters to the company. It does not matter who you are and where are you coming from. So I still remember in my last lecture with my dean at my management. So everything was very good, and we had a gala time, and we all were wearing our blazers and very beautiful ties and everything. And we spent a lot of money on buying Zodiac at that time. It was very costly tie. I still remember. But at the last 10 minutes, my dean came in to the lawn where we were having party, and he said, "Now listen to me. You all take off your blazers. You all take off your ties. Now please keep this degree, MBA degree, out of your mind. One thing please remember, And he said very politely in a good Hindi language that आप तब तक के रिक्वायर्ड हो जब तक के लाला जी को पैसा लाके दे रहे हो. प्लीज आप इस चीज को ध्यान रखिए. And this was a very crude thing for all of us because we were flying high with fancy dreams. And we were thinking of very intellectual talks and board discussions and moving in a luxury car, and that all gone. So, and from that angle, for me, my team and my employee will be very important, even if he is not coming with a fancy greet till the time he's bringing business to me. So, and from a top end view, if you see in an organization, I can only remain relevant to the organization till the time I'm able to pay salaries to my team on time. And I'm able to manage the P&L. I'm able to manage the EBITDAs and the bottom line of my business. So relevant, being in a job is different from different perspective, from different level of people. For me, if all my employees are relevant to the organization, so am I to the organization. Otherwise, I'm not required.
Yeah.
So
no, I think that's a very good point actually that you're bringing here. That, like, as far as the business is running, and as far as you're relevant from that perspective, because at the end of the day, it's the company, it's the organization that has to continue to sustain, right? So in a way, the organization and these employees and the required skills, or if we talk about it from a relevance standpoint, they all have to match, right? So that's a very, very good way of thinking about that, and glad to hear your thoughts. I think that's very, very interesting. I would also like to move on to Sanjeev as well. Sanjeev, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think? What does this relevance mean to you? Sanjeev, I think you're on mute. We are not able to hear you.
Okay. So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I said, the good thoughts, Monica, and good that you started with listening from the audience what exactly is in their mind. So that was, I think, a nice gesture, I would say. And my view is, in today's time, Vikrant, job is still a little narrow view, right? My view would be professionally, whatever profession you are into, stay relevant as a professional. The reason I say that, because over a period, the trend that I'm seeing, right? My inning is over as a corporate inning, but I think the new generation which is coming up, very soon we will see that you don't work with the one company for life, right? Right? So gig economy is coming up, still far away, but thanks to COVID, that has accelerated. I think the simple way to look at professionally yourself is professionally be relevant, whatever profession you are into, right? Number one, whether in the job or as an entrepreneur or as a independent consultant, whatever you do, professionally be relevant. There should be something you're better than most others, right? You find your niche that you're passionate into. People will follow you, companies will follow you, absolutely. But stay relevant and be better at least something other than most others. Other thing is, always keep, always a multi-skilling, as we say, which is very difficult actually. But if you're conscious about multi-skilling, especially today's environment, because the way skills are changing, and Naveen would know because he's running a COE, because the moment what skill was relevant 2 years back is not relevant today, right? Always keep the horizon, in mind, what are the changes happening, and you should know something in addition to what your job entails, right? So there should be some plan B kind of thing, right? So there are few thoughts, initial thoughts I have in my mind, and ultimately simple thing, professionally, whatever you do, be relevant in that profession.
Right. Excellent. Yeah. No, Sanjeev, I think from your experience, like hearing these things is very, very valuable, and understanding that what that viewpoint is. I would also ask Naveen as well. So Naveen, just your thoughts as well, if I may ask you, what does it mean to you when we say staying valuable or staying relevant in a job? What's your understanding, and what do you tell us?
Yeah. So I think thanks. And there are a lot of useful things that the panel has stated. And I think if I have to put the first, and Tahseen told that business is required, so business must happen. And to me, that essentially means that to be relevant, we must be creating value. So value can, so of course, revenue or dollar figure is of obvious measure, but ultimately the question we have to ask is what bringing to the organization. So that is one. Secondly, uh, uh, second thing that business must happen, and I make this point very strongly, partly because from my experience, major problem with the with the education system here is that it promotes competition, but it does not teach collaboration. So for businesses and to be successful businesses, we need good amount of collaboration. So creating value, collaborating, and if we are doing those things rightly, I think success is bound to follow. So only when we kind of get think that world will not change, then the problems start to come in. So the changing, and we must adapt to it with time.
Yeah. No, I mean, actually, you touched upon a very like one of my favorite topics, which is about the whole education system. And I think you mentioned beautifully that it tells us it teaches us competition, but not collaboration, right? And collaboration usually comes at the end, like once we leave our colleges and our education, and then ultimately when we are actually in that competitive environment, that is where we ultimately start to learn collaboration, which should have been doing much earlier than that. Yeah. So that's a very good point you made, Naveen, there.
So at least what I remember is the most naughtiest students of my class, the backbenchers, they were good collaborators. They are running successful.
Yes, I'm sure many of us have seen that, but yeah, that's a good one, Naveen. So Naveen, since we're talking, I think I would actually ask you a follow-on question, and before I come back to the other panelists also, just to get deeper into the conversation. So from a learning standpoint and from this learning new skills standpoint, I would like to know your point, your view on what do you think it takes to being agile, in terms of learning new skills, right? Or trying out new things, or like to stay relevant or to stay valuable. What does it take?
Okay.
What do you think what it takes to being agile to learn those?
Yeah. So I think for the audience and the way if I am able to connect, right? So the first question that comes up is, so I saw in the chat staying alive and things like that. So I'll maybe just ask the audience to reflect. So we not only want to and we want to flourish, and staying relevant must also lead to happiness. So, and the thing is, to be able to do that, one thing, as I mentioned, the context is constantly changing, and being agile, and since this is agile network, the key thing is in agile is the change. Response to change cannot happen if our learning, if our past learning knowledge is weighing in on our brain. So in Vedas, there is a beautiful saying, memories have outgrown your dreams. You have become, it's a very powerful statement, which is saying that it's dreams that kind of motivate us to excel heights. So memories, past learnings, and as Tahseen said, the point that we have learned, we have had a degree, those are actually hindrances in our way to adapt. Must understand that the context in which we were learning has changed. And I'll tell you, so there are three fundamental forces that work at this time. So first one, which is already for, I think, for last 30-40 years, is the globalization. So that force of globalization has been in work for quite some time. Digitization was coming in from last decade or so. It was very strongly driving the industry. Now third, which was there, but with COVID and other accelerators, that's the ubiquitous connectivities. Now,
Yeah.
even this example of where ubiquitous connectivity has led us to. Now, these three things are going to change, but every industry has changed. We will have to learn in this new context. And this new context is every customer is a unique customer. We have to create value by focusing the centrality of individual. That is going to be value drive number one. And secondly, this respond to change the way, so the agility is going to be the second driver. And in this context, new learnings would always be needed. And since a lot of the often now people talk about data, big data and all that. So data-driven sciences where machines, so I think most of the knowledge related work, most of the repetitive, monotonous work will take over. So now actually humans have to the relevancy in the things that they do better. Otherwise, everyone is going to become irrelevant if they don't realize this fact.
Right. No, I mean, those are some excellent points. I think, like, some of the things that you mentioned about, the acceleration in the change that is currently happening, right? And like, due to the different industry revolutions, like we say that we are under the industrial revolution 4.0 right now, right? Which is already going on. Many competitions around, and new startups coming in and, like, really disrupting the existing biggies, right? And then with the COVID-19, things have already accelerated. So I think I really like the way you said that the way the speed and the need of learning, actually unlearning and learning, is so important and so really relevant, and that is probably the more relevant thing to really talk about, right? To really whether you're doing a job or a business or whatever it is so critical. So thanks for that, Naveen. I think so you're focusing a lot on the learning part, right? Which is very crucial, definitely, and being agile from that perspective also.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So I think on that perspective, I actually have another question. So Monica, maybe you can answer. Maybe you can help me answer that question. When you talk about learning, right? There can be people who are just okay with what they know today. They're just continuing with their jobs and just learning, right? And not learning at all, like, or maybe just learning whatever they're being told to do, right? But I also see that in these times, just like Naveen was saying, like, this accelerated amount of speed of change, right? There has to be a will also, right? That people have to really be willing to actually do that. What are your views, Monica, on when it comes to the skill and the will part of it? How do you want to share some thoughts on that?
Quite interesting question, Vikrant, but then thank you, Naveen, for setting the tone for the conversation and laying the foundation that yes, this is the need of an hour and how people are really progressing towards it. Now, talking about managing a will and a skill, so to be honest, we all are talking about a lot of learning initiative. We are asking about managing a lot of skills. A lot of e-commerce platforms have come up where we are getting all the sorts of technologies, soft skills or a technology skills with a click of a button. But are we really inclined and are we really focused on, do I really need it right now? Do you think it is something which is relevant for me at this point of time? So there's a lot of questions which is coming to everyone individual that am I competent of managing this role? Usually for females specifically, it has been quoted at times that we kind of do not apply for an opportunity till the time we understand we are 100% capable of that role, versus we have to learn from our peer, especially that is being said that if male members are there, they are so confident that even if they know about the job 20%, they will go for it and they will learn on the go. So that's how there is a skill gap which is there from a mindset perspective, which people are working because and I think how we adapt to it. So I think we understood the problem, but how are we really addressing it? So I think identifying your current state of mind, every individual is required to do that. And I think for that, I would say balancing your skill and your will together is a key. How you can really do that, because you need to identify if I am doing right at this point of time, and there's nothing wrong, right? But if there are any conversations snacking on your brain that yes, I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I'm not getting paid for what I'm doing at this point of time. Maybe there is somebody else who's doing so good in the organization. So when you start comparing yourself with other, when you start feeling low, that is the time when you realize that your bill is going down. You need to really put a more focus on addressing that will, and how you can do that. So there's a good balance while you understand that this is the technology learning which I have to look at it, or a soft skill training which I have to go for it. But how you attach that to your will is setting up a goals and a criteria for yourself. I still believe writing everything on a paper. I still, while using all the technology, I am a too technology savvy person in terms of HR, but still I prefer writing down on the paper that this is something which I need to do it now. This is my aspiration for after 2 months or 3 months. And I stick to that plan. So how I'm doing it, it's majorly sticking to the plan is the key. You need to make sure that you force yourself. This is something which I have to achieve. In the last 4 months, I've done HR design thinking course. So I have done HR analytics course. I'm a negotiation mastery certified from Harvard. That was the time when I realized I was going through with a trauma that I'm not doing right somewhere, and there was nobody else who taught me about it. It was me who was identifying that I have to work upon it. And that is the time I identified these key skills. And then I forced myself that how to bring me into this newer version of HR, where you are bringing a good balance of technology and HR and bringing that platform of agile into this. So that balancing agile way of doing it is something which I learned it myself. So that's what I'm saying, building those things. So I have few 2 to 3 pointers, clearly working upon how to work on your will as well as your skill. So you need to set your milestones. That is definitely needed. Then you have to really organize, plan, and prioritize that what I need it now, how I can, if there are things which you can't do it right now, please push it to next month or so. You really can't go through a lot of stuff at one go. Do one thing at a time, where you're making sure I complete this task and then I move to the next one.
Right.
Also stay focused, avoid distractions as and when you realize that there's a lot of negative information. You're getting it either from the news, or you're getting it from WhatsApp, or you're getting it from few of your friends who are always coming back and saying something negative about it. Try to make a distance, try to have that distraction for your life. I can assure you, you will have a much better version of your life towards this difficult phase. And I think there was a time initially with this COVID have came up, and now I have literally stopped watching news completely. I still enjoying within my own area, within my family, and I think this is the best time to spend with your family as well. You will never get it. We spent more than 30 to 40% traveling on a yearly basis, and I think this is the best time we are having it. Make the most of it. So that's my bit in making sure that you build a strong will to ensure that you are delivering on the skills.
Yeah. So collect yourselves, utilize this time that you got due to COVID, right? Turn this into an opportunity and work on building that will to update your skills, right? That's what I'm hearing from you. Yeah, so that's a very interesting one, Monica, and I think there's a lot, and I heard from you that like you set your milestones, do your plan and prioritize, and really stay focused, right, on what you're really trying to actually build your skills on, right? That's a great viewpoint there. So another thing that comes here, right? So Naveen and Monica, we just talked about that from your viewpoints that okay, what does it take to be agile in learning, and then the will and skill, right? So I think we have talked in both of these cases. We have talked about it more from I would say a bit more heavy on the job side of it, like that is the more of the organized job sector, where we see these things and we are on the jobs and we are getting more time and we are trying to do our job as well as trying to learn new things. But I think there's another perspective, right? There are people who are entrepreneurs, right, who have responsibilities to run their own companies. Some people are co-founders, some people are founders, some people have their startups and so on, right? And I think learning is a thing that is relevant to everyone, right? Even though we say that, okay, how to stay relevant or how to stay valuable in a job, but what does it take to stay valuable and relevant in a business, right? That would be other aspects to actually really discuss, right? So Tahseen, I would turn to you for this part of the discussion, because I think you're an entrepreneur, right? And you bring a great experience in the entrepreneurship, and you also run a company right now. So what I would like to know from you and for our audience is that what are your views when it comes to learning and skill development from an entrepreneur standpoint?
Okay, yeah, thanks for this. And look, I already said in the first discussion that learning is constant in your life. Learning is one process which shall never be given a backseat. Whether you are an entrepreneur or you are an employee, or even if you are a homemaker, anyone, whatever you are doing in life, constant learning. If you keep doing that, it will help you in some or the other way at some or the other point of life. So, for example, I'll just tell you, before this pandemic, uh, my organization had only two products at that time when we were doing business, and we were doing fine. We were happy, we were settled and everything. But when this lockdown happened and when this situation arrived, so what was my role? My role is changed. My role changed from day-to-day operation to more of a strategic thinker for a business. So for me, it brought a lot of opportunity to have some time of my own and plan my business or my work for future years. And I should also be ready to adopt changes in the system, because that is one thing which I have seen personally, which people do not take it very positively in their life. They are very reluctant to change. What I have done in this last 6 7 months, I'll tell you, the panel will be very shocked. In fact, of what I did actually, I learned craft making from thermocol waste, and I did it. I did some creation, and I have done it on and put it on LinkedIn profile. People were shocked. So people started looking at me from a very different perspective. My people, my colleagues were always like, he's a rude, crude boss. He always talks about money. He always shouts and all those things. They have never seen my other side of my life, of my personality. Secondly, I started writing a script for a movie which I want to make, some short movies I want to do in life. So this time, this 4 5 months, which I would have never got in life. I'm so thankful. I shouldn't say that, but I'm so thankful to this pandemic that this time, what I have got today, I have done so many things which I have always yearned to do, which I always thought of doing sometime after retirement. I have done it
Right,
now. So my thoughts is that change, learn, change, learn. These are two things which you should keep on your mind, on your head, on your heart. Okay, whatever opportunity you get, just learn something. So during this, I have created three new products for the organization, which I have already launched last month. Two are doing pretty fine. One needs some tweaking in. So again, I have to change my mindset looking at that product, what is required in the system or the market. So I'm again saying that again, learning process, because I have thrown that product into the market. I got a feedback. Now again, I have learned something from the consumers, and I will change the product and relaunch it again back into the system. So so
right,
nobody can deny that learning is one thing which has to be there in right from your birth. You learn how to suck milk from a nipple. That's the first thing that you learn when you come into this world. And
right,
at the deathbed also, you also learn how people have treated you in your life. How are they here for your property and money, or are they here for their sheer love? You will learn everything. So that's a constant thing that goes in life.
right, right. No, I think those are some very good points. I'm very impressed with that. Right, and things that you mentioned, that as an entrepreneur also, I think your role changed drastically. Like, you were actually looking at, you became more of like a mentor and someone to kind of hold the fort together. And sometimes, like, that itself can be a big learning, because, like, especially in the case of COVID times, there are many situations that some people were seeing for the first time, right? Whether that is at the official front or the family front, right? I think in both cases, right? But as an entrepreneur, I think, like you said, mentioned that, like, looking at new products, you only launched three products and utilize this time to do that, and that itself is a part of learning also, right? Because if you don't have that kind of a mindset, it's hard to really invent or launch new things, right? So absolutely, those are some very informative points that you have, Tasin. And I think based upon what we discussed so far, right? We talked about learning part of it. We talked about the willfulness, and we looked at the entrepreneur part of it. I think there's still one more area that we should talk about, right? So with the remote jobs being very, very popular now, right? And people are more, as we keep hearing news, right, that TCS is going to be this much percentage of 100% remote by this year, or Facebook has allowed 100%, Google has allowed 100%, and so on, right? Sanjeev, you actually come from a like a very, very large stint, very, very long stint in the HR, domain, right? And I'm sure, like, you do some, you are involved in some hiring conversations or strategic discussions around hiring also. Would you like to throw some light that how this time has actually treated or changed the way we look at hiring and skills in people, like when it comes to, let's say, hiring from the same city or different cities? How do companies have started to look into that from this perspective?
Yeah, thank you, Vikrant. Can you hear me this time?
Yes.
Okay, I want to check. So I think these are very unusual times, of course, and no one knows. I mean, no one knew. I mean, one thing which happened this time, earlier used to be something happens in West and we adopt. Oh, Japan was good at quality, we adopt it. This time, this was such a time when the whole world was learning it together. You had no one to copy paste from, right? So you had to have your own experience, your own situation, find your own solution. So that was one thing. And one thing, in fact, we had a panel discussion, with some experts about a couple of months back. I must congratulate India corporates. The way they came across this situation was much, much better than rest of the world. The empathy, the care, and the caution with which Indian corporates come. We sometimes beat ourselves, but I can tell you the way Indian corporates have behaved and conducted themselves was much better than the rest of the world. I can tell you that, and we should not forget that, first of all. Having said that, there's a lot of pressure business has upon themselves. So I'm seeing few trends, Vikrant and the team. One, the organizations have become very cautious in hiring because they don't know whether which sector will get impacted in which way. I mean, still it is nascent. While we know now few sectors like aviation, etc., where hospitality got very badly hit, some e-commerce was really boomed, but the time will tell. So one thing, each employer has become very cautious currently, right? Number one. So as a result of that, rather than hiring on permanent basis, a lot of companies which have gone for flexi staffing. The percentage, I was reading a report somewhere, the contract staffing or the flexible staffing, as we say, has gone up about 150% compared to the past, because no one wants to take a risk, right? They're being very, very cautious. And rightly so, right? So that is one thing which is changing. Second thing which is changing for good, I would say. So everything is not bad about COVID. There are a lot of things which are good also. Is that the access to talent has become much wider today, right? Earlier, we used to think the concept of city will gradually become very hazy, because why cities were formed? Because there's a place of work, people will come, you get the talent also, you get industries also at one place, right? So it was a kind of mutual convenience. But that is going away gradually, Vikrant. And people, since working from home, has also brought an opportunity for the talent which were not able to move to cities because of the difficulty. And I mean, the situation was unfair to them in a way, I would say. So it is bringing everyone at par, and access to talent, whether you are in Sikkim somewhere or in Punjab or in Delhi, it doesn't matter if you have a talent. So I think that is a good news in a way for my friends and colleagues who are not in the cities, who do not have access to the opportunities that was there earlier, right? So I think that is a good thing. To the organizations, it also makes sense. Their cost for labor is going down because they're able to get a same skill at a lesser cost actually, right? So that is what is happening. So I think it is working both ways. It is working both ways. Another trend which has happened, Vikrant, is a lot of, because of the US visa, H1B, etc. news that we are seeing, and because of COVID, a lot of brain drain that used to happen, right, outside India, they're not going. I mean, a lot of them are there in the country, so they are creating a big competition, right? So net story is the organizations have little better access to talent, right? Both ways, access to the tier 2, tier 3 cities and the talent which otherwise would have gone, to US, Europe, different places. Many of them, they are decided to stay because of the uncertain time, right? So you have access to the talent. In fact, some are coming back also, right? So I think that way, that is one situation that I would say which is happening. So I think what it means for an employee is, I think I would say two key messages if I can. One is it's a self-service mode, right? If you go to any service, go to bank. I mean, how many of us would have visited a bank ever, right? In last few months, right? We don't even go to bank, right? They may start charging if you visit a bank. They said, "Bus, do your self-service, whether you're buying something, grocery, cab, etc. It's all self-service mode, right?"
Yeah.
That is one message if we can keep in our mind, that as a career, we own our own career as employees. Gone those days where I would go and shout at my manager, "Hey, you're not giving me promotion. You did not put me into new role." Gone those days. It's a self-service mode. What organizations can provide you is the options of different jobs in the company. It is for you to sniff around to see. Some companies have beautiful automated systems where each job will come to you. Otherwise, you have to figure out whether through networking or by talking to people. You can't be in a silo and expect someone will come and give you a job in a plate. That's not going to happen, right? So it's a self-service mode. 2 point of view, finding a job, next job within the company, it is your job. You have to find out, number one. Number two, companies will give you a platform, access to platform to learn and give you some budget or time to learn yourself, right? If you don't learn, as Monica was saying, the skill and will, I think it should be will and skill. Will comes first, skill will happen, right? If you have a will, skill would happen. So we should reverse the order. So you're in self-service mode. If you want to be relevant, you have to get up from your seat. No one will even nudge you, right? No one will push you. You need to get up and see what is the relevant skill I need to build, whether company pays or company doesn't pay, right? I mean, I know there are a lot of people, Vikrant, they spend their own money to learn, right? There was a time, maybe a few years back, where companies used to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars in some great programs, and it was a pity that you had to still nudge people to come and attend the training program, right? I mean, why? Gone those days. If you don't, if you're not interested, no one is going to push you. There was a time will come, you'll become irrelevant, right? So that is a self-service mode that you should get into. You are owner of your career. You have to take care of yourself. No one else will come and help you. I think these are some of the messages and trend that I see. I want to share. Possibly it is helpful.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Sanjeev. This is very, very helpful. And I think, I would like to just say one more thing about the whole point that you mentioned about access to that talent that has been in the other cities than the main office of the company. And as a matter of fact, I was having this conversation, and I actually published an article at ThoughtWorks also of a thing called as employee first versus office first, right? Like in the previous times, what would happen is that if a company wants to expand their network within a country or something, they would first open their office over there, and then they will start hiring, right? But the office stays empty for quite a number of months until everyone is actually inside. Now what you can actually do, and pointing to your costing question also, that costing point as well, Sanjeev, that when you mentioned that the costs are also reducing now. I mean, right now with the way things are, with the remote working and everything, first of all, you get access to more and more talent, right? And so it's employee first. And if you ultimately actually end up hiring many people from that same city, maybe then you can think of opening an office. But earlier it used to be office first and then employee, and now it is employee first and then office. Right, so you can really see. So it works both ways. Those people get a chance to work for a company that is far away from their main hometown. but they can still sit at their home in their homes and still get a good job, right? And then still join those dream companies if they have to.
But we can't judge, Vikrant. I would just add on. I think this is just experimentation, right? People are guessing, trying different things. I think it'll take some time, few months, a few years, maybe a year or so, for things to settle down, and people will find a definitive pattern, right? It is still unsettling and chaotic, so people are experimenting. And for any innovation, this chaos is important for any innovation, right? And this working from home would have happened anyway, maybe 5 years, 7 years down the line. COVID has accelerated that. That's the only thing. But directionally, it is in the same direction as it would have gone anyway. So the future has come faster to us. That's the only change.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Great. No, I think these are very, very good points, that we have heard on these different topics, that are all related. I would actually ask, all of you, again, all the panelists, maybe one by one, I'll just call your names. If you were to, so looking at the time as well, if you were to give, let's say, a couple of quick expert tips to the audiences here before we get into the Q&A section, just before that, just a couple, maybe 1 or 2 minutes only, keeping the time in mind. What would be those couple of tips and tricks or expert tips that you would give? Maybe Naveen, maybe if I can start with you. What would you like to tell our people?
Okay, so I think my tip would begin kind of follow from what Sanjeev has already stated. So the people should remember access to resources and not ownership of resources is where the business is moving to. So there will be platforms that will enable them. So people must look out for these platforms. As Sanjeev said, self-service mode. That's, I think, very beautiful piece of advice. And secondly, I think this will to learn and anticipate to kind of understand the change that is happening around us. So it's natural in everyone, and one should continuously focus. And finally, I think very important, collaboration. So collaboration either through a platform or other means, that is the key to kind of succeed and remain relevant. So any of the things go missing, and we have problems.
Right. Absolutely. Monica, I may ask you, maybe I can ask you as well. What expert tips would you give them?
Before I get into expert tip, I think that thanks Sanjeev for quoting the self-serve criteria, because NCR is famous for self-serve products, from an ATM machine to a self-check-in and a checkout. So I think it gives me a pride moment that I'm part of an organization which evolves in the industry for almost 135 years and have a new product every now. So we have a touchless hospitality tools are already available with our innovative team, so really glad with that. So yes, self-service in our blood now, and we ensure that utilizing the technologies and utilizing the way forward is and doing by yourself is always our first part. Now coming back to the topic, I have kind of 4 to 5 tips which I wanted to give it to all the members who are here, because I think could be a little takeaway from us, that if in this difficult time, we all are trying to hold each other stronger, and that is something which you can do. If you're taking care of one person in your professional network, you're doing something good to the industry. So please make sure, do not want to hear any further cases of depressions, because organizations are struggling big time from an emotional challenge of the people. There are no problems at times, but we are still trying to engross ourselves with a lot of problems. So I think if each one of us start taking care of one person, that will suffice the entire concept. So I think power of relationship, that really is very important for me, because you need to understand that professionally we are connected to an organization, we are connected to our peers for more than 8 to 9 hours a day, right? So we need to make sure how are we building that relationship. Also, how are we having a strong relationship at home? If you're happy at home, you'll be able to take that forward back to your professional experience. So you need to work on your power of relationship, which is very, very important. Always over deliver and under commit. So please make sure that you have 10 things to deliver, then make sure that you commit for 8 and then deliver 11. So figure out that way that you undercommit and over deliver, because that has always paid a lot of people well. Do not say gaga about that I'm going to do this and that, and ultimately lagging behind the responses. Third is expand your responsibilities. So if I understood this point of time, if I'm into university hiring, my university hiring portfolio works strongly for 6 months, and 6 months I do not have much of a things to work upon. So obviously, immediately I'll work on additional initiatives which I can add on to my portfolio. So expanding your portfolio by yourself rather than waiting for your manager to come back and ask you, are you doing 100% or are you occupied 100%? So it is always you who knows it better. At times you feel good when you do not have much of work and relax, but right now it's not the time. It's the time to pick up more skills, pick up more work, and take it forward. Also, become an expert for one thing. At least I do not want you to be a jack of all trades, but figure out a way that one thing people should think about, that you are an expert to look up for. If today somebody will reach out to me, they should know what capabilities Monica have it in place. So I think that is very, very important for us to showcase to the world that I have an expertise at least on one skill which they can look up for. And last but not the least, I think Tessin made it a very good point in the beginning about entrepreneurship. So I think make your boss look great. That is the key, because ultimately, if that is not happening, it is not a fight between you and your boss to take on a position. It is always, if you make that person look good, ultimately you are doing good to your job. So I think these are the few tips which I would want to give it across, and this is working fine for me, so hope it will work for you as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Monica. Those are quite interesting, and I'm sure people will definitely find them very, very useful, and they can apply in their jobs as well, right? So, Tessin, may I also request you just share maybe a couple of tips very quickly with the audience here from your side?
Yeah, sure. Thanks once again. So tips, I will give you a very generic overview tips. I'm not going to be a very specific tips that you will do this and you will achieve this. It's not going to happen that way. So a very generic approach is about your positive mindset in life. Uh, please, everyone, I'm just telling you from sheer experience. Every person will have ups and downs in life. No one is born God on this earth. Please understand this. So my quickly 2-3 points that I would like all my audiences to understand, that every problem has a hidden opportunity. This is an old saying. Please keep it in your pocket, first pocket on your over your heart, that every problem has a hidden opportunity in it. That is the first point that I learned. Be bold, take the first step. No one is going to kill you. That is the second line that I always remember, that you have to be bold in your thoughts and you have to take the courageous steps in life. And believe me, obviously, no one is going to kill you for your mistakes in life. Only thing is that you will do mistake and you will learn and you will again start fresh. That's all. And third, have patience, whether it is this time of corona or for any other misfortune happens in your life. And we all know Rome was not built overnight. So with these
Yep.
2-3 tips, have patience, think, take some bold steps in life, and please keep on finding opportunities in the problem that are coming in front of you. Seriously speaking, once again, I found very great 2 products for my organization in this pandemic time, which are going to be the backbone of my organization in the future. So that's an opportunity which I got. So that's what I wanted to share with all my audience. And be positive, keep walking, and that's what life is all about.
Yes. Stay consistent. Keep trying.
Yes.
And that is what will get you there, right? Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Sanjeev, maybe a couple of quick points from your side as well before we get into the Q&As, please.
I think there's a lot has been said already, which is good enough, right? I mean, but I think I'll add a couple of points here. One piece of advice is that we may say different things, right? Do what works for you, right? Because we all will give you some idea, some suggestion which has worked for us in our unique situation. But always reflect. I mean, एक हिंदी में कहते हैं सुनो सबकी करो मन की, मतलब you listen to everyone and buy, but you should do something that really works for you, because every situation is very unique. That is one thing I want to acknowledge, number one. But if I have to give two things, I would say, one, build a social brand, social presence for yourself. As the physical distance is moving, your social presence is the platform where you can be visible, you can connect with people, you can know, people will know you. So do not undermine the power of your social networking and your social brand that you make. Be very sensible in that, right? Be very sensible and deliberate about building your social brand, right? But whatever role you are into, it doesn't matter, right? But please do that. I see a lot of people suddenly getting into LinkedIn when they're changing job, right? People can make out, acha, now we know the person is changing job because suddenly has become active on the LinkedIn. But the networking is the best networking, which is intentional and deliberate with caution. And you do it in the peace time when you actually don't need, right? You build that relation. It doesn't happen when you actually need. That's not going to work. So spend enough time, reasonable time on your social networking and presence. Second, I would say be flexible, be patient. I mean, as Sir has said, this is not the time to be very rigid and adamant on this is the way I want. No, I think be understanding with your boss, with your organization, to yourself, to family, everyone. Be very flexible at this time. This is the time to be very patient and flexible. It will pay you because the world is going through turmoil. Don't add to that, right? Absorb a little bit as you can and be flexible. And the last thing I say is that I'm a big believer in plan B. A lot of miseries in life happen because we work on plan A. The moment we have plan B, immediately a lot of miseries go away from the life, whether it's in relationship, whether it's in the job and otherwise, right? So always, I'm a firm believer in plan B. I mean, don't depend just on one plan. It will give you a lot of chaos and pain. Always have a plan B. Mentally be there in yourself. Get committed to plan A. So these are three things I would say.
Right. No, those are some very, very interesting points that you all have given here. I'm sure like they are so valuable to everyone from the audience here, right? So thank you, Naveen, Monica, Tahseen, Sanjeev, for sharing your thoughts, on these different topics and enlightening everyone, with your deep experience. I think looking at the time, we are in the last sort of 10 minutes or so of the time schedule today. And we actually received a few questions also, right? So let's actually spend some time on those. We may not be able to actually answer all the questions, but let's try, in a short format that how much actually we can cover and try to answer those here. Yeah. So I'll just be reading out the questions and I will request one of the panelists to take up and maybe if they can answer and help understand. So one of the questions I see here is that how do you look at the mental health angle in nurturing your job growth? This question is from Rohit. Let's repeat the question. How do you look at the mental health angle in nurturing your job growth? Maybe if one of you can.
So let me start, if I can, let me start because we do a lot of work in the employee well-being space. Personally, as a consulting, we do a lot of work and we see unless mentally your brilliance at the workplace. In fact, I commented also in the chat. Your brilliance at workplace will not come unless you are mentally reconciled, you are calm, composed, in a positive frame of mind, as Sir has said, right? It cannot come. And I see a lot of studies, Vikrant, where the CHRO, the top agenda for CHROs, even more than the, reviving the business, was to take care of the safety and health of employees. And I'm very happy the way corporates have responded on this, right? The way they have reacted. I mean, sometimes overreacted. I am flooded with so many requests that we want to do sensitization program, learning program, etc., etc. So I think we have to take care of ourselves. Self-health should be the top priority for every human being. Taking care of personal health, whether physical, mental, spiritual health, that is the most, because if you're not mentally reconciled, composed, what can you do? You can't do. So this should be the top priority personally, and companies are spending huge amount of efforts in doing that. So this has suddenly become the top agenda for the CHROs. which was not so much earlier, honestly.
Right, right. Absolutely. No, that's a great point, Sanjeev. I think that probably answers the question that was asked here. The other question I see here is more from the being agile standpoint. I think, Monica, it sounds like that someone wanted to learn something more when you talked about that. So the question is from Bhupinder Singh, and he asking that being agile, what qualities do you see in a candidate while selecting them? As we all know, in agile, team is self-organizing.
I think a very good question from Bhupinder on this one, because most of the recruiters have modified their version of looking at the candidates. We are, there's a lot of modifications in the job profiles we have seen, resumes. We have we have included a lot of stuff altogether. We have diversity and inclusion took into the picture, and then also we have to do agile way of doing it. So we have to remove a lot of information which talks about male female candidate, talking about what is an experience this person is bringing specifically. We need to be very cautious about what we are sharing it with the hiring manager. And the most important thing we look up for hiring is whether this person is adaptable to the new or changing environment as such. Because being into agile is something you have to be ready with what's happening now, and you should be ready for tomorrow as well, as and when it comes. So it's not like you are coming with an adamant mindset that yes, I have done that in my previous organization, and I can bring it up to the table, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Those were the conversation which is no more relevant right now while you're having an interview. So just a tip for that please ensure that you're talking relevant with what you're doing right now and what you can bring it onto the table for now, because we really don't know what you have done it before, but whether it is worth it currently, and how are you making sure that you're ready for tomorrow. So that adaptable nature is something very, very important, which we are looking at this point of time. Specifically for university hiring as well, because we do not look at, these people come with a fresh mindset, right? That is something which is the only reason during COVID as well, most of the companies are hiring university grads. That hiring have never been stopped. Because of that only, that we understand that they come up with an open mind and they are ready to accept the change quickly. And that is how we are working on it. So I think, and there no skills, no technologies, it is majorly, are they open to learn and are they open to accept?
So if I can add, Monica, one comment. There was a boss I had in HCL. So he used to say one thing: if you want missionaries, go to campuses. And if you want mercenaries, then you can go to lateral markets. I always remember that. So that is true to, at least the first part is true, at least, that, if you want missionaries, you can go to campuses, and they're beautiful. I mean, the way they shape up into the organization. You're right.
True.
Yes, very true, very true. Okay, so moving on to, maybe we can take maybe one or two questions more before we get to the closing note for today. Okay, there's another question here that says, role of HR in being agile. I think someone, Bhupinder wants to know, what is the role of HR in being agile?
Monica, go ahead.
I think Sanjeev and I had already responded that on.
We commented. Yeah, we commented.
We had already responded that on a chat.
Okay. Then I think we can skip. Let's not repeat that because I'm not looking at the chat that deeply. But thanks for you to you're very, very active on chat, and I think that's helping. There's another question that comes here. Where do you see the Indian job sector looking to innovate and moving away from algorithm-based application prioritization?
So I commented on that actually. That yeah, go ahead, Naveen. I mean,
yeah. So yeah, I saw that comment, and see, basically, as I said, machines are anyway going to do the traditional algorithmic jobs that currently a lot of people are doing. So the job for the human being will be how to train those machines actually. So all said and done, the only art is, so we were talking about learning so much, and we have to understand what exactly learning is. How do we get trained? And incidentally, so since I have some background into artificial intelligence and machine learning, I know that the process of learning, training the machines itself, it is something humans can do. To train machines will learn, but they cannot do it by their own. So the way innovation is going to happen is that things that we are good at, we have to find ways that how do we automate. So I use two terms for these things: time telling and clock making. So time telling is your gift to judge the time that you can do it. But once you build a clock, your gift is irrelevant. So similarly, this is going to go that we do a lot of time telling today. Machines will take over, and for like remaining relevant, you have to be expert at clock making, not time telling. So that's how I put it.
Very, very interesting, Naveen. Yeah. Thank you, folks. I think we have covered most of the questions. I think in the chat also we have covered a few of them, and I think we should be good from that perspective. Priyank or Rohit, would you like us to take through the closing note before we call it out?
Yeah, thanks for the wonderful panel discussion, moderation, Vikrant. And thank you, everybody, especially the audience who staying back on a Friday, which is basically should be renamed to a beer day. And maybe. And also very much thankful for such a wonderful panel discussion. I'm surprised to hear all of you collectively. It's actually 100 and some years of wisdom which you guys are carrying, literally. It felt to me, I mean, like the kind of examples you guys are giving, and so really want to thank Tahsin and Monica, Sanjeev, Naveen, and Vikrant collectively for the wonderful job you guys have done. And we look forward for more and more collaboration with you. So thank you very much for being an awesome panelist today.
Thank you.
Thanks for the great opportunity.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. It was a lovely panel and lovely interaction, and look